The North Korean People's Air Force hasn't acquired a new combat aircraft in more than 30 years. Foreign sanctions and the slow collapse of North Korea's economy mean the Air Force has little choice but to maintain, for as long as it can, the planes it already has. How many planes are we talking about? Joseph Dempsey, an analyst with the International Institute for Strategic Studies in London, scrutinized recent satellite imagery and made an educated guess. The KPAF can muster at least 75 of its most modern fighters, attacks planes and bombers, Dempsey concluded. Modern, that is, by North Korean standards. That's not a lot. Not when the South Korean Air Force alone possesses no fewer than 500 modern fighters and attack planes, not including combat-capable trainers, and also is acquiring 2 types of stealth fighters. Add scores of American warplanes to the South Korean tally and it becomes apparent just how outnumbered and outgunned the KPAF would be during a war across the Demilitarized Zone. On paper, the North Korean Air Force owns 572 frontline warplanes. Most date to the 1960s or even the 50s, including hundreds of geriatric MiG-17s, MiG-19s and MiG-21s and Chinese-made copies of those Soviet designs. The latest planes in the inventory aren't all that late. According to a recent survey by Flight International, the KPAF in theory possesses 56 MiG-23 and 35 MiG-29 fighters, 34 Su-25 attack planes and 80 H-5 bombers, which are Chinese clones of the Soviet Il-28. Probably none of these planes is younger than 30 years old. And it's possible that, in the decades since Pyongyang acquired them, many of the MiGs, Sukhois and Harbin bombers have crashed and become unflyable for want of parts or maintenance. Publicly available assessments appear to be based upon historical totals of aircraft delivered, with no allowance for attrition, Dempsey explained. Given all types have been in service for decades, losses through accident and aircraft damage will inevitably have mounted up, thus reducing inventory numbers. Recent airfield closures gave analysts a chance to count North Korea's active aircraft. Sunchon Air Base in west-central North Korea, home of Pyongyang's Su-25s and MiG-29s, has closed for runway repairs. In mid-April, the base's planes assembled out in the open ahead of relocation to other bases. Commercial satellites snapped photos. Something similar happened back in mid-February at Uiju Air Base on the border with China. Uiju hosted around half of the Air Force's H-5s until the regime of North Korean strongman Kim Jong Un apparently converted it into an industrial facility. The Il-28s also assembled outdoors as they relocated. In all, Dempsey counted 12 MiG-29s and 31 Su-25s departing Sunchon and 32 H-5s leaving Uiju. Whereas flight estimates the KPAF has 35 MiG-29s, IISS believes it has just 18. This despite the possibility, however remote, that Pyonygang has been able to build meaningful numbers of MiG-29s on its own.